Yeah, thumbs up. Do
Matt,
it.
what is that thing next to your head? Oh, there
What
was
thing
like a
next?
thumbs up a second ago. Hold on, we
Yeah,
just found this
I
out.
did this. See, there's a thumbs up now.
It,
That's all
it
I'm
works
getting.
for everyone except Mike.
Yeah,
I feel
You
so
sorry,
have
left
Mike.
no
out.
You just,
privileges.
I don't know what to tell you, Mike. Just upgrade.
Yeah, but my webcam films in 1080p, so
I'm using
My
an
phone films
iPhone, so
4K.
my shit's clean.
Yeah.
gonna turn this into an Apple commercial. Shot on iPhone.
At the very end, that's how we get our
It's
sponsorship.
like shout out to iPhone for the new latest product.
I
Giving to
love
you
when Matt.
now.
This is
How
how you
know
know
he
Matt
needs to?
means
He wants to be
business.
heard,
Exactly.
and they'll hit you
What
with
is
one
my
of
thing?
these too.
What is my thing saying? Oh, is what are their percentages on the corner saying? Oh, never mind.
Anyways,
Anyways,
what
start
is
it.
what is going on, guys? We are Team Chosen Strength with an unknown named podcast. We'll figure that part out later. I'm Andrew, aka Panda Lifter. We have Mike here, aka Lift Like Mike, and we have Matt, aka Matthew Alexander Fit. Your
Of
name's your
course.
name, so it's just not really an AKA thing.
No.
Um, but today we're going to be going over some intros for us, what got us into powerlifting, why we started coaching, what are our next goals with powerlifting, and then perhaps we'll touch upon some of the principles that we use when we're coaching our own athletes. So to get us kick started or to kick us off, Mike, actually let's do this. Let's do this. Matt, let's describe what type, like who Mike is, without him being able to say anything about it. Like, what do we see Mike as?
This is gonna be difficult.
That is the
And then
most
just
difficult thing to say.
all right. First thing, Boston,
Not
big
even that.
Boston
I just
guy.
big fan
What do
of
you?
the town.
What?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I can describe it as.
Like the movie,
Boston,
The Town.
bodybuilding
Yeah, the movie
background.
The Town. Yes,
Okay.
with Ben
Oh, okay.
Affleck.
I was like the town of the bot. Never mind.
No,
It
not the
was
town of the
comedy taken.
Boston. Yeah,
I
it
would
was comedy
say
taking.
very detail oriented, strong nutritional background. This is when I first started coaching Mike. He was one of the few guys that was he was taking notes on everything that I was sending him on my voice notes, and he was writing them down and summarizing them and sending it back to me and saying, "Hey, is this what you meant?" And I was like, okay, this guy is really, really detailed, and he's going to take everything I say and try and process it so that he can absorb that information. And that was, what, like 2.5 years ago. So you've had years of me sharing my insights with you and experience firsthand with like coaching and stuff. What else, what else, Matt? What do you see with Mike? And then he gets to explain himself.
I think that's enough said with him. Like what I see Mike as it. Well, not to burst your bubbles, but like Mike's very dedicated. He's hardworking. He always gathers information, whatever he needs to, when it comes to his RPs or his lifts. He doesn't overshoot the gun on a certain lift. He'll cap it where he needs to be, and he's just a very hard worker. That's all I can say to him.
Big worker.
Thank you.
All
Hardest
right.
worker in the room. Shout out Wheeze.
Whoa,
I don't think
whoa.
you're getting free products from him right now, just off that.
All right. So you can describe yourself, a little bit about your background, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I think everything you said is very accurate. I guess the way I think about it is where all those things came from for me. So obviously, I grew up in Boston for the majority of my life. Sports were always a huge part of my life. Playing sports, watching Boston sports, everything I've done in my life has been super competitive. So just seeing like Tom Brady and like the Celtics and just knowing what it takes to win, what it takes to be the best is always something that I've wanted to strive for. I am also the youngest of three brothers, so I talked a fair amount of shit growing up and got my ass kicked for it. So I'm thankful for that because I feel like it made me tougher throughout the course of my life. Um, and then I had always been into lifting. I was one of those guys that when I started lifting, I started because I thought it was going to get me girls. I was just like one of those skinny kids that had abs because I had no other like body fat on my body to cover my abs. So I was like 6 feet, 145 pounds soaking wet. When COVID hit, I stopped ego lifting. I picked up the fork and I gained about 50 pounds. So these days I'm sitting right around 200, but educated myself a lot on like how to lift, the scientific aspects behind it. And of course, like nutrition being the big side of things, being able to track my macros, calculate and adjust as time went on and things like that. And then I was just lifting. I was in great shape. I was very healthy, but I wanted something more. I wanted to continue to be competitive. I wasn't playing basketball as much, and so I wanted to take my gym going to the next level. I actually had quite a few friends who were already coached by Andrew, and I was seeing the results that they were getting, how much fun they were having when they got to go on prep and compete and everything like that. And I think we went to Mark's Exceed meet in that like last April, I think it was. And I had been under Andrew for like about 2 months at that point, and I was one of those like, oh, I don't feel like I'm strong enough to compete kind of guys. And then we went to that meet, and I'm pretty sure I opened up the USAPL calendar the next day and signed up for a meet. And I actually ended up placing third in that meet, which just furthered my love for the sport and wanted to continue to educate myself on how I could get better. Had people start to hit me up on the results that I was getting to help them get better, and then it just snowballed into turning it into a business, and here we are today.
Great intro. I think I want to say that it's been pretty cool being able to see you come from like a bodybuilding background and then understand like what it takes to be great at powerlifting. Right? You've been very meticulous. You've been very hungry to learn more about the powerlifting side of things. And I think the interesting element that you bring that is kind of new to powerlifting is being really, really strong on the variables and nutrition side of things. And it's had a lot of our athletes that are using you as a nutrition coach get to new heights, right? Like I'm not even changing anything on my end, and they're just hitting PRs left and right, week to week, out of nowhere. And one, it shows like you really know what you're doing. Sadly, too, it shows that they probably weren't eating right for a very long time in the first place. But at least they're heading in the right direction that they are now. And because of that, I myself have added in like a nutrition aspect to my coaching. So like all my guys have access to something called Chronometer. I'll work out macros with them. It's nowhere near as detailed as what you have going on. But at the same time, I recognize that as an important aspect of why someone may not be progressing. Right? Everyone thinks they're eating a lot of food until they write it down, and they're starving.
Yeah, I used to skip breakfast every day and wonder why I wasn't gaining weight. And it took me like actually tracking my macros to be like, oh, I need like 800 more calories a day.
Yeah, that was like the same boat with me all the time. I'd do the same. I'd just be like every Saturday, just go to the session. Oh, let me just down a Fairlife and be fine. No, I was not fine. I needed an actual meal just to get into my lift too. So I see the point why breakfast
Well,
is
let's be clear,
important
the
now.
Fairlife is still there.
The Fairlife, yes, is still there, but at least I eat something.
Okay, I think this is a good intro into Matt. But we're gonna do the same thing. Me and Mike are gonna describe you how we see you, and then you get a chance to go through your full background. You want to kick us off, Mike?
This is where the
Yeah,
fun
of
begins.
course. So I think it's pretty evident. If you started with Boston, I'm starting with Chiefs. Um, the man loves Patrick Mahomes. He went to SoFi just to like steal a lock of his hair, and he has it in like a little vial. You probably can't
True
see it,
story.
but it's behind him.
The
No, but
summer, the
in all
summer effect there.
seriousness, I think Matt is a lot more knowledgeable than people realize. He's been doing this for a while. He's very no nonsense, right? So some people, when it comes to a coach, they're looking for that almost like drill sergeant level of accountability. And that's what I see Matt as. Like, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to be very direct with you and tell you exactly like it is. And again, those years of experience he has and the strength that he's built over the course of those years, I feel like very much shows with the advice that he gives his athletes, as well as any tweaks or adjustments he makes to training programs. Like Tim, for example, when you incorporated the pause deadlifts, and then his form coming off the ground was just like immediately improved. So just little things like that that you don't think will make a big difference end up having a very big haul in the long run. So love that for you, Matt.
Thank you
What
for
about
that.
you, Drew?
I appreciate that.
Matt, to me, Matt, he's the tough on the outside, sweet on the inside guy. Because he has this like tough macho exterior, but he really does care about his athletes, his people, his friends, and stuff like that. I know you don't want to mention that, Matt.
I do though.
But see,
We all love Mark.
look how awkward
Oh
he's getting.
God, why?
Um,
We're just like Mark. That's a different story. No, I'm just kidding.
the biggest love hate story ever.
Oh
But
yeah.
I see Matt as a guy that has the edge because he has so much experience, right? The chances are, if you've encountered something, he himself has gone through it, or he knows someone has gone through that same like issue, and he knows how to troubleshoot it intuitively. He's like, oh, okay, I know what to do because I've seen it happen a dozen times before, or I've heard about it before. And Matt has a great memory for recalling like instances. I don't. Your memory's very, very good. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
do
if
admit my memory is really good. Like I could remember a lot of different stuff. Really
For
weird. I
someone
don't
who
know
just
why.
scrolls Instagram reels 24/7.
That's
he's
it.
trying to fill those memory banks with memes. But
It's all
Matt has
memory.
gone with me to meets for damn near 4 years now. He's been powerlifting for what? This is your like eighth year powerlifting and like 12th or 13th year like lifting itself. So you've been around this for a while. It's second nature to you. And whether you're injured or you're beat up or something like other life stuff going on, you're in the gym every single time. Your consistency is insane, right? Your house could be on fire and you're like, damn, I got a bench. I got a single at 7 today. So,
Another day, another seven.
uh, but that's why I see you as you're the person that's been forged through experience more than anything. And then fortunately you have the memory and the diligence to be able to take that experience and do something useful with it and channel it so other people can grow from the instances that you've seen and heard about. So
Yeah, definitely. Like with all that, thank you to both of you for describing me in the best way you possibly can. That was actually pretty much. I don't know what to do with my hands here. No, but seriously, like yeah, like that's honestly like how you guys describe me, and I think that's really to the 100% true. Like how I am, like I'm very straightforward with you. I like through the beginning, like obviously me, like throughout my childhood and all that, I've always gone into sports. I've done like kickboxing before, basketball, football in my high school years, and then with that drive and everything, I've always been very competitive, and I've always found myself where like if I'm not doing something physical or anything, I'm just bored and I feel like that weird groggy feeling like I didn't do anything throughout my day and I just feel like a lazy piece of shit. So that's why after high school, that's when I started doing a lot of ego lifting, bodybuilding stuff, just getting, like getting used to the whole whatever lifting is, like obviously I never started squatting or bench or deadlifting as much. I was always like that weird gym bro guy that just every day was bench or something, you know? Like we've all been there. Like back then
It
you're like,
shows.
it's just bench all the time. But
even
as
then,
the years progressed, and then as when the first zoo culture opened, that's when I first started meeting all of you, and then I got the whole what is powerlifting, and then that's when I met through one of our good friends. Obviously, your coach Joey Flex. Shout out to him. He's really cool. But that's when I started getting more knowledge by like always hanging out with him all the time, getting to powerlifting, starting my own powerlifting career through that, and then gaining a lot of knowledge from you guys and him especially, to where I kept it all in my head, and it's still in there all the time, where like there was so much information I could gather where I could use that, especially for my athletes now, through all that experience, that since I've been competing since like I think it was 2018 or something like that. Yeah, like I believe since 2018 I've been competing. Yeah, and ever since then I've always tried to try to push for greatness, to achieve a higher dots total, and I never stopped, honestly. Yeah, no matter through COVID, no matter through a bad day or anything, bad day at work, bad day at home, I was always at the gym, just putting in the work and knowing the next day is always going to be better.
Matt,
Can
I
I put a
know.
pause right here? Um, there's an instance where when Matt said he was lifting through COVID, there's a lot more to the story than that. So like quick excerpt. The man loaded like 450 pounds on his back and he's on a third story of his apartment. So he's like he if he drops that shit, it's going through the floor. And that
Actually,
was the
that's true.
most gains he's ever made in a short period of time because it forced the guy to stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
If
Let me talk
I
about
can't
that
stress
one
this
real
enough, if
quick.
I drop this, I will die.
Yeah. I'll talk about that one real quick because of the fact that like it would either be in my bedroom or I'd be in the kitchen. And like squats was terrible because it was like, yeah, if I drop this, it's over. It's done. But I was so dedicated that I like, all right, there's a bunch of gyms closed. There's a bunch of places I can't go. Like I have the weights, I have the bar. Let's just makeshift it to where like let's and I had the sketchy squat rack too. I had those weird ones where it's like it's not a full set, it's separate. So I had to even them out to make sure that the bar is straight enough where I walk out and then put it back on. And those were the weirdest days of squats where I was just like, I could die. I could, I'm not joking. I could die.
I'm in
I
But,
don't know how
danger.
you bench there.
but yeah, like I still put in the work and I'm like, this is where I'm going to make my gains in a third store apartment.
Wait, Matt, question, because I don't know if you touched on this or not, and I feel like you and I had somewhat of a similar background where we came from more of the bodybuilding aesthetics side of things into powerlifting. Like, what originally got you to start powerlifting? Because no one just like signs up for a competition and they're like, I'm a powerlifter now. Like, you generally have to start training that way and then decide
Yeah.
to compete. Like, what got you to start training in the powerlifting style?
I think more so of the fact that like I was already getting into it a little bit, starting to squat and deadlift a little more often, that to the point where when I was at zoo and I saw everybody lifting, I just started like hanging around with the whole crew back then and asking them questions. How should I lift? How should I do this? How should I keep my form up on squats, bench, and deadlifts? Like, what is the proper way to do this if I'm willing to like get stronger? But also the fact that like when I walked in, I was weighing around like 160, I think. Yeah, like 160, still gym broing. And what I wanted to do was like gain more weight, body weight wise, and then be stronger. So I did that and competed as an 83 kg lifter for like years until now. I'm a 90 kg lifter and I'm weighing around like 206 on a good day all the time. And I like this weight personally because of that. But but yeah, that's honestly how I just started powerlifting, is from hanging around them and just asking them, how do I do this lift, or how do I get better at this lift? What accessories can I do to be better? Because one thing about bodybuilding is like you want to be shredded, but with powerlifting, it's more about strength build. Like what can you do to better yourself in that position as an athlete?
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big part of it, that similar to what Andrew was saying earlier about like the variables that people miss. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't understand that the very baseline of getting stronger is building muscle. And that's what having your variables in check will help you do when it comes to nutrition and sleep and so on and so forth. But that's a whole other road we can go down in a later episode for sure. But I do want to switch it back over to Andrew. Matt, let's do what we think of Andrew. I'll let you go first because mine. He is my coach, so I'm sure it's gonna get like low key a little sappy. So we'll let Matt go first.
It's gonna get a
before the
little
tears
sappy.
start flowing.
Taking my blue Gatorade, sponsored by Q.
What was it? Red is for health, blue is for
Something about
One's
like,
for when you're sick,
yeah.
and
He
one
said
was
something-
specifically for basketball.
And then blue was that he said he's just fully locked in and he's gonna blow something up.
Blue Q. It makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. What?
Okay, Matt.
Well, anyways,
what do you
back
think
to
of
it.
Andrew from a third person perspective?
How I would describe Andrew is he's a guy that you can actually relate to. Anybody can relate to him to the point where like no matter how small you were or how big you were, like you will always get stronger because knowing Andrew, he's a very humble guy. He's very nice, but if you rub him the wrong way, oh, it's game over for you. I'm telling you now. He's very knowledgeable with everything when it comes to powerlifting. He's gained so much knowledge through everybody I've known, and I've been friends with him ever since, to the point where I would have never thought that he would be friends with me because I'm such a big a-hole. And, like he's very helpful when it comes to what placement you're in, especially if you're if you're in your low end, he's got you no matter what.
For sure. Yeah, I see all that. Myself being like a corporate sales guy, Andrew, I don't know if you've ever had to do this, but have you ever had to take like a strengths finder test or like personality test or anything like that?
MBTI or like a DISC or something? Yeah.
Yeah, something like there's like a specific one I'm referring to. It's called Clifton Strengths Finders. And one of the strengths is, I can never pronounce it, but it's like individualism. And that's something that I've seen like time and time again with you, where it's like you're very much able to pinpoint where a person is at and like what their goals are and how to help them specifically reach their goal. Because as I'm sure everyone's seen with a lot of online coaches, you can always pay like $40 to get that PDF that it's just like a cookie cutter program. But everything that I've seen from Andrew has just been a combination of knowledge and experience, but also meeting you where you are. So like for me, again, I had that gym bro experience and Andrew knew, okay, like the accessories Mike is going to know pretty well how to do. But when it comes to like certain tweaks on form on SBD and the compound lifts, like this is what we want to make sure we hone in on. So it is the kind of thing that I felt very supported throughout our entire working relationship, and proud to say friend relationship at this point, but and now professional relationship as we are technically in business together. So and then the only other thing I would point out as well that's pretty evident about Andrew is he is the one and only Filipino that can't sing. He claims to have guitar skills. Claims to have guitar skills. I've yet to see it, but he's pretty adamant that he sucks at singing. So I just wanted the world to know that it's
And he benches 400 pounds with a crooked shoulder since he broke that arm long ago. He's one of the only ones I can see where I'm like, how does he bench like this? And it just looks weird if you were ever to see that in person.
Andrew, how'd we do? What do you think?
I appreciate the kind words. I will say I agree with everything that you've said. So no disagreements there. I guess I'll just go over like what got me to where I'm at now. So funnily enough, growing up, I think I've always been a really competitive person, but I have not always been a very athletic person. So it wasn't until like late middle school, high school, to where I started being able to like compete athletically. But I was a runner, so
You ran?
middle school, I enjoyed running. High school, I did track, the 400 meter, the 4x4, cross country. I did that for a few years, and I didn't lift at all in high school, like zero lifting. So there's hope for you kids that have never lifted since high school. And even in college, I didn't lift. I um, I was a rock climber throughout my college career. Not very great. I think I got up to like a V6 or V7 for those of you who know anything about rock climbing or bouldering.
Matt's like, whatever, I have a Hemi.
Yeah, I was just thinking V8, not even
And
V8.
it's like 392.
Yes, 392.
Thank God for the rock climbing, though. I have never dropped a deadlift. Um, but that my whole like powerlifting fitness career stuff started at the end of college. So my buddy and I had a business where we worked on cars. We worked on like lights and like anything related to lights. Thanks, Matt. And over the course of one summer, 2014, I went from 170 pounds to 196 pounds because my friends would come over and always bring me food. But I'm barely moving because I'm just working on these small little meticulous things. I, at the end of the summer, thought I shrunk my clothes. I'm like, nothing fucking fits anymore. What's wrong? And I saw a picture of myself and I was like, oh my God, I'm cooked. Like, it's over. So then I went on a really extreme diet, and in 3 months I went from 196 to 162 pounds, lower than my starting point. Then I was a skinny bitch, and I was like, oh shit. And Leanne was like, you're too skinny. So I went back up to like 170, and I was like, you know what? I should try working out. So my very last quarter of college in 2015 is when I finally started going to the gym. There was an LA Fitness like down the road. And all I would do is bench and hammer a bunch of accessories. And then sometimes I would squat, but I didn't quarter squat because I already knew that was a meme. And I never, ever, ever deadlifted. I was so scared of deadlifting. I'm like, I'm going to break my back.
So you were a
One
gym
thing I
bro
was
the whole
born
time
to
like
do.
us.
And I was like, no, I can't do that. And I followed a bunch of cookie cutter programs because eventually I started 5x5 and that took me pretty far. But then when I stalled out on that, I tried a bunch of methods, 5x5, 5-3-1, cube method, a bunch of cookie cutter programs that are online that I just can't even remember anymore. And I was stalled out for like 2 years. And at this point, I was going to Zoo Culture already. Switched over from LA Fitness to Zoo because I was like, okay, I want to surround myself with competition equipment and all that nice glamorous stuff because that'll make me better. And it didn't make me any better. But I happened to be friends with Tina Tornado. Started working with her. I'm not working with her. Start talking with her, and then eventually I applied to work with Joey. And at that point, I had never said a word to Joey. I just knew he was some like big name coach. And I was like, you know what? Let me work with this guy. He seems like he knows what he's doing. I had no idea that he was as good or as big as he was. I just thought he was the
Gone.
biggest coach at Zoo Culture. Um, I he would like mention, oh, Russ does this or Sean does this. I'm like, who's Russ and Sean? I was so not into the powerlifting world that I had no idea who Russ Swall or Sean Noriega or whatever was. And I'm like, how does he expect me to know who these people are? I don't know who these people are. But after 2 months working with him, I signed up for a meet after 1 month working with him because there was a local meet going on hosted by Tina. 2 months in, I hit PRs. I hit a 30-pound squat PR, a was that a 5 kilo bench PR? No, 10 kilo bench PR. I went from 264 to 286. And deadlift, I had never pulled on a stiff bar, so I can't really count if there's a PR or not, but I pulled 557. And at that point, I was already hooked. I'm like 2 months in, he broke a 2-year plateau. You might know a thing or two. And that's what started me on my powerlifting journey in 2018 with Joey. And I've been with Joey ever since. I've literally never stopped working with him except for a brief, like 3-week stint when COVID happened and I didn't have any gym equipment. But other than that, it's been continuous. Longest break other than that's been anytime I go overseas. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what started me powerlifting, and started coaching in 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And then I started the Chosen Strength team just this year because I recognize the need to have a more formalized, strong team. If I wanted to work with both you, Mike, and you, Matt, and actually put something very presentable together to offer as a package to people. But yeah, that's my long-winded way of going about how I got to where I'm at.
Now we have t-shirts.
Now we have
Pretty
t-shirts,
legit.
not Matt. His is
Mine
dirty.
are dirty. I have to wash them. Sadly, I could wear the other one.
He hates when he has to wash his shirts, except
Exactly.
the Mahomes shirt.
Never wash it. Superstitious.
Superstitious jerseys with no wash.
It's a thing. Okay, I
it's a
have
thing.
a fun one. What was your first meet competition experience like? So we talked about how we got to powerlifting, but then some people might say you're not really a powerlifter until your first time competing. So what was that like for you guys?
Well, definitely you're not a powerlifter. You haven't competed. You can't call yourself that. I agree.
There you go.
But first time powerlifting, first experience ever was, I didn't know what I was going to walk into, honestly. I didn't know it was going to be the whole, like get up super early, meet at this time, like 6 in the morning. Or you got to weigh in, you got to do equipment checks. It's all new information with somebody who's a first time powerlifter. But with a coach as your guidance, that's when everything is just smooth sailing. But walking in, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's warming up the same way. Like obviously the beginning is squats. So everybody's very helpful. Like, don't be afraid to ask them, like, hey, can I work in? I need to load this weight. They'll be like, yeah, sure. You'll be in there. Like, everybody, my first time experiencing it was very straightforward and it was very fun. So,
Matt, how long had you been powerlifting before your first comp, and where was it?
so when I first started powerlifting, I got coached by my buddy Ron. And then 4 months later, that's when we competed at state champs in Anaheim. And back then, I believe my third attempt squat was only 419 pounds. My bench was 286, and then my deadlift was, I believe, 450. I think it was 450 or 440.
It's like,
I just remember it was like three reds, a yellow. I do remember that.
dang. Well, I mean, shows that you've come a long way.
No, yeah.
Did you feel you signed up after 4 months? Were you debating whether you should sign up, whether you were strong enough or not?
No, I wouldn't say I was debating. It was more so encouraged by everyone around me to like, oh, you're strong. Like you should start lifting. Like you should, I mean, not start. Well, yeah, start lifting, but you should start competing.
You should
Like
start lifting. Matt's like, what am I
Skinny
doing?
bitch.
yeah, like I was already lifting. Like Jesus Christ. Like yes, I'm
Trying my
skinny, but
best
like
out
damn,
here.
trying my hardest. But no, I was definitely encouraged by everyone that like you're a pretty strong guy for the weight class you are. You should start competing. And so I took that and started looking up meets myself online, and then I chose that one because it sounded cool. Honestly, I only chose it because it sounded cool because it says state champs. So I went in and did it. And then doing the meet is probably the best thing that's ever happened. And I was always hungry for more and just went for another meet and another meet and another meet all the time and just wanted to be better.
So
And
much
that's
meat.
it. So that's a lot of meat.
Except now he's like, nah, I'm shy. What about you,
No,
Mike?
that's cool. Cause
But what about you, Mike?
I was actually going to ask you why you did state champs first, but that makes sense because it sounded cool. And I feel like that's one of those things. I had like somewhat similar experience where there are so many things that I know now and I'm cognizant of now that I had no idea back then, like qualifying totals and like state champs and regionals and nationals compared to a local meet and all that stuff. Because I mean, for me, the first meet I did was a local meet. I had lived in LA for a little bit at this point, and it was down in San Diego because there was just really nothing in the area close enough at a good time for when I was looking to compete. And similar to what I had said earlier, it was like we went to Mark and Josh's competition at Exceed, and I think I signed up for that meet literally the next day. And so we gave ourselves, I think, Andrew, I'm pretty sure I texted you. I was like, how long in advance do I need to tell you before a competition? And you were like, well, like peaking would take at least like 3 months for XYZ reason. And I was like, it was like April. And I was like, okay, cool. Here's this one in August, and signed up. And then I remember asking you too. I was like, I was actually very nervous to ask you. And this is something that like I appreciate to this day. I was like, it's in San Diego, which is from LA, depending on the day, like a 3-hour drive. And I was like, Andrew, like if I do this one in San Diego, would you go to it? Because I remember saying, I was like, I will just sign up for another one that's closer because I don't want to compete if you're not there. And you just like, no hesitation, were just like, I will be there. Like, it doesn't matter. I will be there. And so it was actually a really cool experience because Mark, Josh, and I got an Airbnb down in San Diego. The competition was on Saturday. I drove down Thursday afternoon. I work from home, so I worked from home on Friday. I didn't do shit. But it was like, I didn't
Man's
have
like,
to cut.
fuck that.
I don't work at that job anymore, so they can know.
That's
But
since changed.
I didn't have to cut for the meat, which was great. I could just eat into the meat. But similar to what Matt said, I had been to a meet, and so I could see, like, you do 3 attempts of everything unless you fuck up and you scratch an attempt, which I knew wasn't going to be the case because I knew Andrew had the numbers down pat. And just going into it, I mean, and this was a conversation Andrew and I had small and large goals for myself of what I wanted to get out of the meet, out of the competition. Everyone should go into the competition wanting to total PR, without a doubt. If you don't have that as a goal, you're just silly. I told my family before the competition 2 things. I said, number 1, I'm probably going to be the first one to squat, which ended up being correct. And number 2, if anything placement-wise comes down to me deadlifting, wrap it in a bow because I already got it. And so going into this competition, again, I was correct. I was the first one to squat. But I was proud of myself because my 3rd attempt, I bumped up enough that I was like the 2nd in the rotation. And I was like, I was feeling myself after that. But anyone who knows me, again, I'm very competitive. I'm very vocal. So I was like celebrating after all my attempts. Like my first attempt was like an RPE 5, like not even like a last warm up kind of weight. And I was like, let's go. But then bench was bench. This is a little bit of a funny story. My prep PR was 270 and 275 just continued to elude me, and I was chasing 275. I smoked my second attempt, 259, and Andrew kind of got me in like a moment of adrenaline because he was like about to put in my number for my 3rd attempt, and he was like, Mike, are you feeling strong or strong? And I just like, no hesitation. I was like, strong, load it up. And we loaded 275 and I missed it. I got it like 3/4 of the way up, and then my triceps just gave out because I got long ass arms. But it did end up, the second thing I said ended up coming to fruition. I had never deadlifted, I think 485 was my PR. I hit 4 reds in training. And it came down to my 3rd deadlift. The guy before me hit his 3rd deadlift. And so we needed to change my weight. I remember Andrew asking me, do you want to hit 500 and know you're going to hit 500? Or do you want to pull for 3rd? And again, no hesitation. I said, this is what we're here for. Let's fucking pull for 3rd. And so line it up, pull it, moved like I would say RPE 7.5. And I now have a tradition of just screaming at the top of my lungs after every 3rd deadlift. But that pull itself put me into 3rd place for that competition. So I think I said this earlier, but being able to compete, what's up, Bowser?
It's Bowser.
Not knowing too much about the sport or the logistics of the competition day itself, being able to place at my first competition. I think that was huge for my momentum of just falling in love with the sport and wanting to like educate myself about it and basing like everything around like gym wise around it and being able to continue to excel. So similar to Matt, to wrap that up, to land the plane, there was a lot of uncertainty going into it, but with the guidance and my own competitive nature, I think my first experience was the best possible experience that I could have had.
Yeah, I mean, to have everything on the line on your first experience when you're pulling your third lift, it is a huge adrenaline boost, and you're like, damn, I really did something. Like your own fate was in your hands on that one attempt,
Literally.
and and people don't often get those opportunities to really be head to head. Like I literally had the number in, so the guy, if he missed his third attempt, you would automatically pull exactly what you needed to win. And I was already like ready to run to the tables in case he made his attempt, so I could bump it up another like 2 keys and bump him off.
You always
And
got
you
to chip it.
executed. Yeah, we literally did the smallest jump necessary so that we could win. And even though you had more in the tank on your deadlift, I'm like, this is how you play it, so you can get your goal, right? Second was a little bit too far out of reach, but we could chip away and get that third place. And it's funny is we were in fourth the whole meet, right up until that last pull. So we were strategizing. I remember the whole time we were like, fuck that guy."
He's
Which
really
turns
nice.
out to
gonna
be a
get
very
it.
nice
I'm
guy.
gonna get him.
Well,
Goes
when
up
you're
to
in that
Mike.
mindset, you're like, you're not ready to make friends. You're like, I just want
Oh,
to win because that's what you're there for as a competitor.
I just picture Mike all anger, face, and everything like locked in, and the guy comes up to him like, "Oh, hey man, how you doing? You doing good?" And the Mike's just
That's
going,
kind of what
"Oh,
happened.
he's very nice. Never mind."
No, yeah, he deadlifted. His attempt was literally right before mine. So it was like Andrew and I were standing like right where the curtain ends so we could like peek around and see. And like there's a picture of me just like I look
Oh, mad
so
dogging
mad
him.
and so locked in.
The
And it's
man
like
is mad
if you
dogging.
could like zoom out the context of the picture, it would be like it would be a sick picture, but it's like if you just see the picture of me locked in, it's like the fuck is this guy's deal? Like that looks like a dick.
I think as a competitor, that's the mentality you should have though, because that guy, whether he's doing it on purpose or not, he's trying to take your lunch, right? You're like, I came here for this specific goal, and you are trying to take it away from me right now with what you're doing. So of course you're gonna be mad. It's not personal. It's literally just there's an entity that you do not like at this moment, and then afterwards you're all cool. You're all simpatico. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
fortunately the dude was a friendly guy afterwards, and you've seen him at like every single competition you've competed at since.
Yeah, literally all three
Yeah.
comps I've done, he's done as well.
And we do the same thing, just chip him. Well, no, more than that.
No, no, we don't need to chip anymore. We just
Yeah, no, you just go for the win.
go win on openers. The Q
That's
method.
it.
I
Well,
mean,
let's
since
just make
then
it
you
a
put on a
statement.
tremendous amount of strength on your total on all three lifts. That 275 bench barrier is literally like a week 2 now.
Yeah, that was my opener last comp.
Oh, there you go. See,
Yeah.
super chill.
But that was a big milestone, passing the 275. I'm pretty sure, right?
Next up,
I would say
315.
300 was a big milestone.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that was
once you-
one that I was like extremely excited for. As
now
time
next,
goes on.
now next, he's gonna go for the 315. He's like, I want that 315. I want the 3 plates on there, and I'll do it in pound plates.
Ecstatic. Hey, question: when you do 315 for the first time, are you gonna load up pound plates or kilo plates?
Yeah, that's true. What are you gonna do?
That's a good question. I think it's going to depend on a couple different factors. Well, I mean, like Mark failed it like 8 times on both. So I don't know if it matters. I feel like to be honest, I feel like I only use pound plates when I'm at golds. Like if I'm at 1RM, like other than that one deadlift session that lives in infamy, I feel like I don't typically use pound plates. Other than
I would
like
I would
post
say
comp
use
when I
the
did
deep
like the
dish.
NFL Combine.
You'd say what?
The NFL Combine.
I said I don't really
Oh,
use pound plates at 1RM other than that deadlift day and after competition when I did the NFL Combine and I just like AMRAP to 225.
What was the best you
Because if
AMRAP
you
225?
what?
What was the best AMRAP you did with 225?
I got 12. 12 and a half if you count the half, but I don't.
that's a
Roger
lot,
Goodell
though.
wouldn't, so
But
I don't.
still,
That makes you outbench like, and bench is not your favorite lift. That makes you outbench like 99% of gym bros.
exactly. Oh my god, he's flexing.
I was hoping there'd be some sort of animation that came with that.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna do some weird like flexing in the background, like it's gonna go like
Oh,
all this,
I got you, bro.
like the fireworks and shit.
It was only a matter of time until I flexed on camera, but I'm wearing like a pretty, for those listening and not watching, I'm wearing a pretty heavy shirt, so you can't
Oh
see the
jeez.
definition. When Josh and I were filming, that was like 75% of the podcast was just like us like flexing while we talked at each other.
What
Sounds
did
like
you
a
guys do?
bodybuilding
Have a
podcast.
what was this like a flex off? Who's gonna flex the hardest on the table? Just going like that.
Whoever passes out first wins.
It's like, man, I could see the vein on your forehead. You good? It's like, jeez.
Otherwise, you just ain't
Um,
trying hard enough.
He probably wasn't.
Exactly.
Probably wasn't.
Andrew, when did you compete for the first time?
Oh shit. 2017. I think it was January 2017. It
Holy
was
shit.
also in San Diego, just like you, but it was in Camp Pendleton, uh, which apparently was a pretty big meet. Like
Semper
I
Fi.
didn't know. I just assumed they were all that big, but it was in a military base, inside their gymnasium that was there. They had like 3 platforms going on at once, and that was my very first experience ever going to a powerlifting meet. I was so um, unaware of what powerlifting was that I literally didn't even know the commands yet. I knew there were commands, but I was just watching the guy before me go, and I'm like, okay, start, press, rack. Okay, good, good. And I'm like, as a miracle, I went 9 for 9. So that was good. But yeah, my first meet, I made all the mistakes that you. Okay, not all the mistakes, but I made a bunch of mistakes going into that competition because I didn't actually have any guidance. So I had one of those generic programs that leads you up to a heavy equivalent of like end of the block, but there was no peak. It literally just got worse and worse and more stressful and hard on your body. Like the week of my meet, I was probably hitting RPE 9s on each lift. Like on like 6-7 days out, I was like, okay, I failed that squat. Gonna get it on meet day. Like
It'll be
It'll be
there.
it'll be their meet day.
yeah, it was.
Oh my
Whew.
god.
I mean, luckily I went 9 for 9, but that's when the curse started and I didn't hit a PR for 2 years. So yeah,
Jeez.
Wait, was that before you were with Joey?
yeah. So I started with Joey at the end of 2018. So that was my gap from the beginning of 2017 to the end of 2018. That's my 2 years. And I would say that I was getting stronger, but I had no way to exhibit the strength that I was building. Like, I had no idea what a peak was. I had no idea how to manipulate my fatigue or how to customize a program so that it worked for me. Like, I was literally, I was benching twice a week. I was deadlifting once a week, but it was one set of 5 reps, and that was it. That's all the deadlifting I would do. And I thought that's just what you're supposed to do for deadlifts. And then squats, I would squat every other session. So it would be once, because I trained 3 days a week, I would either be once or twice a week. Like every other week, it would alternate the frequency. And then
wild.
a lot of shoulder press, like military press. It was just everything. It was just so bad. Like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, you could have been so much better. Look, I
Not
came
even
from
that.
2 years further along.
Not even that. That's surprised you didn't get hurt through that program either. That's a lot.
My back always was really, really fatigued, and I was probably on the cusp of getting injured at all times. But I was 24, so I was able to recover from anything. So it didn't really matter. I wasn't tracking my nutrition. I had just learned about protein shakes. I was like, cool, I'll drink one after I work out. Set, taking care of that. Nutrition, good.
The 30-minute anabolic window.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
literally thought that was it. I'm like, and I had no idea how to calculate macros or anything. So those first 2 years were just a wash. Like those didn't even count. Actually, first 3.5 years ish. Because at that point, when I competed in 2017, I had started in 2015. So I had a couple of years of like not knowing what the hell I was doing. I squat 429, I benched 264, and I deadlifted 557 on deadlift bar, USPA meet. And I just remember, so I competed in I think I was a 100. So, and I was a light 100. I weighed like 205. And the guys that won my class at that competition squat 600, benched like 350, and deadlifted like 600. And I was like, these are just impossible numbers. Like maybe I can get the deadlift there, but there's just no way I'm ever going to touch anything close to that. Fuck it. That's just where I sit. Like, this is the limits of my genetics. I know I've been working hard. There's no way I can get stronger than that. And that was 2017. Super, super different world from now, because you'll have like really lightweight phenoms that will blow those numbers out of the water. And back then, we just didn't have enough powerlifters to see those phenoms, and the training knowledge wasn't advanced enough to where you saw any of those phenoms because they had no way to exude that potential. But yeah.
Well, that's one thing that's really changing about the sport is I feel like there is, since it's growing so much and so rapidly, there is a much larger sample size to be able to see, okay, you're on pace, you're on trend with what you should be doing, and then being able to tell, like, okay, this guy is an outlier. Like, he's like a 59 kg putting up this crazy total that you're like, okay, he should be on the world stage right now.
You know, back
Yeah.
then the standards were so different that I looked it up. If like Matt, for example, put up his lifts now, he would have been like the 2012 world champion of like the 90 kilo class or something.
Yeah, that is the weirdest QT totals I've seen. I remember
Not
looking back at
QT,
those. Oh, you're talking about just the
IPF
totals?
world champion.
Like, you would have won.
Oh, geez. Back
Yeah,
then?
not qualifying. Like,
Oh, that's different. Oh, God.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
it was.
but
I looked it up a while ago, but there was a point in time where you would have been a world champion, given
what
current
the
numbers.
heck?
They would have
Now
speaking
my
about you in
numbers,
hush whispers.
and now my numbers are like nothing because everybody's getting so much stronger. It's crazy. Like you got Jesus Oliveira's freaking squatting 1,000 plus, deadlifting 1,000, and his bench. What's his bench? Like freaking almost 600 now. Like these
He's
guys are
hit like
strong
630 or
motherfuckers.
something,
Oh yeah, fuck that.
or 620. It's just really, really insane. Not to put like you say your numbers are nothing. I mean, you still have some pretty damn great numbers. It's just that there's so many more people now that also have these great numbers
Yeah,
that it feels like your numbers are not as good. And social
and that's
media will just spam you with all those people to where you're like, damn, I
yeah.
guess a 700-pound bench ain't shit anymore. Like,
And I think that's why I believe social media had a great effect on that for growing the sport because of the fact that you have all these different people coming from different parts of the world now competing in the powerlifting. And if it wasn't for like Instagram reels and then posts, I don't even think the sport would have grown like this exponentially to where like, oh, I want to do that, what that guy's doing, or I want to compete like this guy's doing and get as strong as this person. You know, it's just
Well, yeah, there's
gone crazy.
two sides to that though. It's like there's the encouraging side where you're like, wow, this guy's the world champion. I like the way he carries himself. Like, I want to be like that. And then there's, since it is growing so quickly, people are starting to powerlift at a much younger age than people normally would. So there's crazy people out there that are like teen twos and they're putting
Yeah.
up like a bigger total than what used to win the world championship, and you're just like, oh my god,
Oh
this
yeah.
kid is like 14 and he benches 400 pounds. Like, make it make sense. It almost doesn't. And so it's like, but it is cool to see again, like they're starting at an earlier age, so they're able to reach that genetic potential sooner rather than waiting. Like for me, like I didn't start until I was like 29. I'm 31
Mm-hmm.
now, so I'm like technically, I guess, in my like malehood prime. But like anything, if you start sooner, you're gonna get better sooner. So it's almost like a toxic thought that I have every once in a while where I'm like, damn, if I wasn't such a shithead in college, like if I started focusing on this sooner, like imagine where I would be. But it's like you can't think like that.
No, and the
Yeah,
average
the coulda, shoulda,
powerlifter
woulda
back then
thought gets
started.
you. Say that again, Matt.
I was gonna say the average powerlifter back then like started around like mid 20s, almost late 20s too, before social media. And now, like Mike, I agree with Mike. Like all these teens out of nowhere, like lifting super heavyweight, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Like the fact that they get to start at a much younger age base with much, much more knowledge on both the recovery, nutrition, and training side just gives them that edge. But like I was saying earlier, like there's the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean, like if you could look back and change aspects about yourself or change the knowledge base you had, probably would have put a lot more money in Bitcoin in like 2012. Like,
Bitcoin.
Nvidia.
Nvidia.
Joey did that. God. Joey is always talking about like, oh, I gotta get more Bitcoin. Where's your Bitcoin at? I don't know. I'm just gonna put more. I'm like, what? This is when it first started too.
Well, that's
Big
like the
Bitcoin
meme
enjoyer.
of like I should have bought a house in 2008, and then it's like me in 2008. I was in like 8th grade. Like, fucking idiot. What am I doing?
Or like me. It's like, yeah, 2008. I remember that. Me just sitting at home playing Mario for 2 back in the day, while everything is
Actually
like
happy.
and actually happy without realizing there was like a housing crisis going in effect too in that year. I was like, jeez.
Bro, I thought Modern Warfare 2 wasn't until like 2010.
No, Mario for 2 was 2008.
I'm looking it up because that's the greatest Modern Warfare of all time. Well, that's the
Yeah,
greatest Modern
he's
Warfare.
already gonna look it up. He's gonna be like, let me
Can we get a
check.
fact check?
It's
Young Mike, pull that up.
I think it's 2008, 2009. It's got it.
2009, so
Ah,
right in the middle. I just knew I was in high school. That was
yeah.
the point I was trying to convey.
Damn, they really
No,
said,
yeah.
oh, there's a housing crisis, everything's in shambles. Here's the greatest Call of Duty ever.
We got
Yeah.
you.
Let me bring you the formula right here, right now. Take this game.
1v1 quick scopes only in Rust. Last kill has to be
all
a 360.
all the time, or sniper lobbies on terminal, trick shot last kill. That would be
I
it.
was never about that
Those were.
life. I was like, let me just get my fucking kills. I don't care if I need to use a noob tube. Like, I'm not about to 360 this shit.
You're
Bro,
like,
I
I'm
used
just
to
gonna kill you.
wager. I used to wager with my friends.
Why would you
on
wager?
1v1 quick scopes. Because I was
Oh,
nasty.
shit.
Bro, I won
Damn.
so much money doing that. Like we would bet like I mean it was only so much money to a high school kid. Like we would bet like $5 at a time. But it was
This
like
guy, like,
I was
you're
really
not getting
good,
lunch.
so I would win.
That man's like, I'm getting the nachos with cheese for lunch.
Yeah, you're telling your friend like, you wanted lunch? Well, that's too bad. You gave me your $5.
Hey,
Give me
I
your
mean, back in
lunch,
the day, that
buddy.
could have been like a little Pizza Hut personal pizza or something.
Well, nowadays you can't even get much with $5 either. I don't even think you could do
$5
that.
is your side of small fries.
Five
Nobody got
dollars was
pizzas for that.
isn't $5 like one Fairlife with 42 grams? I think
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah,
you
it's like
tell us,
four.
Matt, you drink one every day.
that too.
I thought you
Well, I
got
go
the
to
Costco
Costco. I go to
bulk
Costco for them anyway, and they rose the prices to like $33 for like the
for how
pack of
many?
24. I think it's a pack of 24 in Costco.
Okay, so that's like $1.30 per or something.
Yeah,
Way
yeah, but
better
those are
than
hacks.
buying them at 7-Eleven.
No, they are. And that's the hacks. That's why athletes, people should be getting stuff at Costco. I didn't realize that till like last year, where I'm like, oh my god, I can get so much stuff here that I need, like all the
Until we bullied
protein.
you to stop buying an energy drink every single
Yeah,
gym session.
every gym session.
Man
That's
bought his
how bad I
first tub
was.
of pre-workout.
That was
Changed his
terrible.
life.
Every session, it was a bucked up all the time until like even the front desk had to tell me like, "Hey man, you know how much you're spending on bucked up, right?" And I'm like, "How much am I actually spending?" He's like, "Dude, they're like $4 every day you're here for 6 days a week. Like, come
Damn.
on."
Matt don't check the price. All he do is
I was
swipe.
just all I did was that's all I did. Grab, swipe, go, done. Not
No,
even
but even
swipe.
at Zoo, they had your card on file, so they were just like, "Yeah, we got you. Go work out."
Yeah, all the time they'd be like, "You're good, you're good."
Man
Like, don't
single-handedly
worry
keeping
about
the
it.
lights on.
Yeah, just with my bucked up. I'd be laughing at with like Brad's all of a sudden like, hey man, how are we getting so much revenue now? The one guy buying bucked up. That's what's going on.
Well, when you left Zoo to go to 1RM, they probably felt a big dent in their profit margins. They're like, "How do we get this guy back?"
They basically
They
lost two members. Matt was spending like $100 a month on fucking bucked
just
up.
energy drinks. The lights started to flicker probably, and they're like, oh no, it's happening. It's like it's not the fires that's causing it, it's Matt leaving. That's what happened.
Oh God.
Yeah, man.
You like slightly alluded to it earlier, and I was like, at what point is he gonna make a full-on joke about it?
That's how you know his comfort level has peaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like right here
No
at a
customer
comfort level.
service voice, just straight into the edgy jokes.
Well,
I mean, that's
no,
exactly the kind of Matt you're gonna get if you get him as a coach, right?
you're literally gonna
Straight
get
into the
like
asinine jokes.
you like me as a coach. It's funny because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be fun with you. You're gonna have a good time. But the moment you mess up anything or if you're not following anything, I'm definitely gonna be straightforward with you, like a drill sergeant, like Mike said. Like, a- like example, like Mark, him not telling me about his injuries, where I have to scold him, going like, "Why didn't you tell me this?" And also, how did you hurt yourself at work? You literally have a desk job. How do you fall off your chair? And then he describes it to me, and then I'm like, and in the end, I was just like, this guy's a dumbass. How do you fall? I was like, there's no way.
I said it once, I'll say it again. We love Mark.
We love
I
Mark.
love
The
I love
best,
Mark.
the biggest love hate.
I love Mark a lot too, especially. I just want him to be better in
Especially.
powerlifting. That's for sure. And he has been getting better with everything.
Yeah, yeah. He's made a lot of progress with you. When when we transitioned from him coaching with me to coaching with you, I forgot how many months it was 6 months ago. His
Yeah,
squat went from like
at least.
530 to like 570, right? And his
Yeah,
pull went from 606 to like 630.
640.
And then he added what, like 10 pounds on his bench, 15, something like that.
Yeah, we got his bench past that plateau too, like, because he was always struggling, like we said earlier about 315. Like all the time, he would try to attempt it and attempt it. Like he knew he had it. It was just more of so like a tech issue and strength issue that was going on that I helped build him up to the point where like he bench 336 and he has 341 on him on a good one, and
Yeah.
that's the biggest
And he was
achievement.
like 320 in
I
comp or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one of my biggest achievements is like basically getting him past that like plateau of him like being emotional about it, disregarding his strength and thinking like I don't know if I'm gonna get past this and only for him to get past it and now he's much happier with it. And now he's striving for more. Now he's trying to go for the two reds and blue on each side. And we'll see if when that comes to fruition, honestly.
It's coming. It's coming for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
They just
we're
keep
at
on
about
coming.
an hour right now. I want to close this off by us listing off like what are our next goals. 2025 just started. What are your goals, both as an athlete and as a coach? And then we'll just sign off after that. Matt, you start. You're on the far right
I'm on the far right.
of the screen.
Oh, that's why. Well,
Your
I
was heated.
Huh?
You were so mad.
Yeah. I look so mad. What do you mean?
This is not a political podcast, bro.
Not like that. Why would you think because I said far right? Why would you think this
I
is
totally thought
political
that's what
now?
he thought. I was like,
What do you mean?
Well, because you
Oh
got so mad so fast. You're like, no, I'm not.
my. Oh God. Oh God, that's funny.
So, Matt, what are your goals?
Yeah. All right. I think for me as a goal right now, I want to go for 450 dots or more. So I'm planning on competing later on. I just got to find one and get stronger through the program we have currently. And then coaching wise, I just want to keep building up my knowledge and sharing it to people around and making sure all my athletes are well taken care of no matter what, always checking on them, whether it's lifting or not lifting related also, because you want to have that personal relationship with your athletes so they know you do care, that you do care for them, especially. That's my biggest goals as an athlete, as a coach right now. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I would say I'll start with athlete because I feel like that just comes most naturally when it's talking about stuff like that. Right now I'm at 375 dots, so I think 400 is a natural next milestone. Um, Squat, I don't really have a number in mind. I just want to get better at it. Long femur gang, what up? And then bench, obviously 315, and then deadlift 600. So I'm like, I feel like I'm right on the cusp of that. So I might have to adjust that goal pretty soon.
I think
This
I
this
think
vlog
aim
or
higher.
next. So
I think aim
uh,
higher.
Aim higher.
well, I gotta
Higher.
hit it first, and then I'll adjust it. So
I
um, but and then I mean athlete wise, I think again I'm planning on doing the Vegas regionals. So I think for myself competing at what would be probably like a bigger, more distinguished competition, I think would be it would be really good for like myself to experience that level as well. And then coaching wise, I mean obviously just continue to educate myself and improve and gain more knowledge. I mean I have like professional goals of like read a book a month, continue to do courses and get more certifications, and then just to put a number on things, like I want to handle at least 5 competitions this year. I want to become a USAPL referee, and then obviously just like continue to grow my book of business, whether that be like the powerlifting, the nutrition, or just like the general lifestyle client. So um, yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's me. What about you, Drew?
Very cool. I'll start off as an athlete. Um, my squat had been stalled for a little while because I think you're going for a 7. You're kind of like cut off with the tiles, but
Oh yeah.
um, squat had been stalled for a little while because I was having some knee problems. But I have since solved that completely, knock on wood. So the goal now is a 700-pound squat, a 400-pound bench in competition. I've already done outside competition, and at least a 727 deadlift. And as a side goal, I'm also having a friendly wager with Jay and Big Body. So I gotta out total them. Body is coming down to the 120s. I get to fill out the 120s. And then Jay is staying at his current weight class right now, or current body weight right now. So we'll have a big head-to-head sometime in fall 2025, and that's where we'll see who ends up taking it all. And then as a business goal, I will say that the three of us are all still taking athletes. So my roster is around 20 people. I want to be able to fill it up to 25 to 30. But I don't want to ever go over 30. I still have a professional day job, and I don't want it to negatively take away from my quality of work there. And I also don't want to shortchange any of my existing athletes too. So as it goes up, I'm going to assess whether I can handle that volume of athletes. And if it ends up being that I can only do 25, I'll just take 25. It's fine. As long as I can maintain the quality that I could be proud of at the end. And then I want Chosen to be able to to go to bigger and bigger meets. We have been to national level meets, but one of our guys, he's doing well. Quentin's doing well. He just joined Powerlifting America. I would love for him to be able to find a path into Worlds, right? To break out of the United States and compete on a much bigger stage. So that's something that's really close to me, and I really want to allow him to open those doors. And then, let's see. Also, side note, I want to become a Powerlifting America ref. So I'm currently studying the rule book so I could take the practical exam and trying to get that going for me too. Yep, I think that sums it up. Did I miss anything?
No
No, I
question.
think you're
though.
straightforward.
If you hit those numbers, is it going to get you a 500 dots?
It comes out to like 490 something. The big thing is being able to get a 425 to 430-ish bench, which is a tall order, or find 30 pounds on my squat and deadlift on top of the 400 bench. The reason
always
I'm
the
not
bench.
aggressive with the bench goals is because for the past 3 months or so, this shoulder's been really achy, so I haven't been able to push very hard. I'm still good for like a 380, 385, 390-ish bench in like competition level standards, but I know that I can't give myself the stimulus that I need to push beyond that without increasing the risk of injuring myself. So I needed to get stable and healthy first before I can make any call. But I think that making a bet to say, hey, I need to bump it up 40 pounds, 30 pounds in 1 year's time could push me to the point where it makes me a higher risk for injury. So that's where I'm balancing right now.
For sure. Just wondering.
Yeah.
I'll rub the shoulder for
You
you.
want to wrap it up, Mike? I had no clothes. Forgot the clothes.
All right, well, this is going to be off the cuff and purely muscle memory from past experiences. But, I mean, as you know, first episode here, we appreciate everybody listening, everybody's viewership. You can find us on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Andrew, what are we talking about in the next one?
Training principles, RPE versus percentages, complex training methods versus simple, if conjugate is actually an effective method of training, and other things related to that topic too.
Love that. We'll see you in the next one. Stay strong.
Peace.